Welcome back to GRTV. Now, we're still enjoying ourselves here at the multicultural event in Epping, and our next segment is with Andrew Griffiths. Now, Andrew Griffiths is a small business author. This guy is amazing, written many books that appear in all over many countries all around the world. Very wise guy when it comes to small business and the issues around small business. So I interviewed him, and this week we're showing part 1. So enjoy. Yassas, Ziggy here. Welcome to the finance segment on GRTV called Money Does Grow on Trees. On this show, we cover all things money, and we look forward to your questions. However, today we have our first interview of the series, and we're lucky enough to have Mr. Andrew Griffiths. Andrew?
Hello, Ziggy.
Mate, welcome along. Welcome. Yassas. I'm glad you got a bit of Greek in as well.
I got it. I can do it. I can work it.
Now, matey, you have written 12 books that appear in over 60 countries. You've been in business for 30 years now. Can you just tell me, why is money so important when it comes to our finances and everything that we do?
Well, obviously, it makes the world go round, doesn't it? I think that's the cliched kind of an answer. But from a business perspective, I think that in a strange way, often money is almost secondary. Everyone thinks that people go into business to make whole piles of money, but most of the time people actually go into a business because they're passionate about making something, doing something, wanting freedom or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a good understanding and control of your dough, well, it's pretty unlikely your business is going to work.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting because, you're right, we do go into business because we are passionate about something. But there's always the struggles and the trials and the tribulations and the different pressures of business. What are some of those that you found over time?
I mean, I bought my first business when I was a teenager. So I was 17 going on 18, and I had no idea. I had no idea how to run a business, how to charge, how to get money, how to balance a checkbook back then, in the days when we still had checkbooks. So I got to know my bank manager because every morning he came by and gave me back all the checks that I'd bounced the day before. That's how that relationship was built. But over the years, I really have learnt the fact that you've got to take responsibility. You've got to understand that it's your business. If your name is on the door, if you own it, then it's your responsibility. And that means paying your debts and managing the cash flow and managing the money that's coming in and making sure that you look after your suppliers and your staff and all the rest of it. It's a responsibility that sometimes I think business owners kind of think, well, that all happens over there. This is my business. Well, it's a business's responsibility. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite get that in the earlier days of my business until I had a few kind of interesting conversations with people like the ATO and some really tight situations that I realised, well, I've got to step up and take ownership.
Well, certainly those institutions make you focus on business, particularly the ATO. Absolutely. When it comes to tax, you need to stand up and look at what they're inquiring into.
Exactly.
Tell me, how did you get into business?
Like a lot of entrepreneurs, I think I always had that desire to be in business, and I always had a passion. I don't know where it came from. It certainly wasn't in my upbringing or anything like that. But I was working in a dive shop, and it was owned by this crazy Canadian guy, and he said, "Do you want to buy it?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." And it was in the 80s, so I went into a bank and said, "Hi, I'm 18, I haven't got any family, can you give me $25,000 or whatever it was?" And they went, "Sure." Okay, and I left with a check. And I miss the 80s a lot, I might add. But,
talking a lot about checks.
I know, checks. Most people out there listening have probably never even heard of a check. It's a little bit of paper that you sign and give money away on. But of course, I was a dive instructor and a commercial diver, and that's what this business was. So it was a natural thing for me to get into. But I loved it. I loved helping people. I loved selling stuff. I loved doing all of the things that are related to running a business. I just didn't know what to do correctly. That was my biggest problem. But I had passion and I had enthusiasm, and I kind of bumbled my way through it and somehow made it work.
So now it's been about 15 years since you wrote your first book, 101 Ways to Market Your Small Business. Can you tell me a bit about that book and how that came about?
I was running a small business marketing company. I live in Cairns, way at the top of Queensland, and most of the clients that I saw that came to see me were other small business owners, and they had no money, no time, no skills outside their own area of expertise, but they all needed help. They all wanted advice on how to do really simple, to me anyway, marketing ideas. And so I started to do all these little fact sheets that I put on the wall, and someone could ring and say, "Hey, how do I do this? I've got no money, could you help me?" And they could come in and get the fact sheets prints off the wall, or I would fax them.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling old in this interview, aren't I? Back in the days when we had fax machines.
Fax and checks.
And I would send them through, and then little bit by little bit I thought, I've got 50 of these on the wall. If I perhaps wrote another 50, I've got 100, and I've got 101 ways to market your business. And I approached a publisher. They loved it. Published the first book. It was hugely successful, and then they said, "You got any other ideas for a book?" And I went, "Sure." And then I went and wrote another one, and so yeah, I've actually written 20 books, but only 12 that I admit to.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but and they're all around business, personal development, that kind of stuff. There, a strong desire to help people, I think, is my passion for doing it.